Very much indeed for coming along and such. I was expecting 4 people here this morning just to be with me, and furthermore, you know that the end is nigh when most of the crowd collected to see you are far better dressed than you are. And I'm looking at the Lord Mayor and how well he's dressed, and we have members of Beatles Ireland here with us who are there, all of whom are remarkably nicely turned out. Thank you very much indeed, especially for the occasion. Anyway, I am happy to be here with you all this morning. In my present condition, I'm happy to be anywhere with anybody. But anyway, I'm happy to be with you to perform this little function, and I'll tell you in a moment why I was invited. But first of all, I'm happy to be here because I think it's a very good idea undertaken by, did you say the corporation? City Council. Undertaken by the City Council to mark as many tourist attractions as we have. The big ones are taken care of, Parnell and O'Connell and Pearson and all of that. But smaller ones that people might pass by, I think it's a lovely idea to have something there to say, there was once a cinema here. We're getting to the stage now where you have to explain to people what a cinema was. But anyway, there was once a cinema here called the Adelphi, and it was a very, very nice cinema, and it was run by a man called Harry Lush. I remember him because I was in the cinema business for a while myself. And I saw not only the Beatles here, but I saw Louis Armstrong at a stand here in the Adelphi. And down the street in the Carlton, I saw the Duke Ellington band when they were here. And subsequently I saw Charles Aznavour there. And up in the stadium, the boxing stadium on the South Circular Road, I saw Kenny Ball and his band on his record-breaking tour. And then afterwards I saw Don McLean, who subsequently appeared in the late show. And the point I'm making is that they were the 3 venues we had at that stage. The Carlton, the Adelphi, and the stadium on the South Circular Road. All of them perfectly nice places in themselves, but completely inappropriate and completely unsuitable to take the stars that they were coping with. But we had no Bord Gáis energy, we had no conference centre, we had no 3 arena, we had none of that at all. And it is amazing now to go down to that end of the river and see what we have there. And what a beautiful theatre is there, what a beautiful conference centre is there, and what a beautiful building, what a beautiful conception the 3 Arena is. And that wouldn't have happened were it not for a fellow called Harry Crosby, who is here somewhere. I don't know where he is. Is he over there? He's over there. It's not Harry. There he is. That's Harry Crosby, and he was the one who first decided that the city was going to expand in that direction. And those of you who are old enough to remember, and I can see that's most of you, those of you who can remember will remember that area of the city as a dark, sinister, threatening, dirty, filthy place with the smell of gas all around the place. And it was he who saw that eventually the city was going in that direction. And hence we have what we have down there now. And it's a wonderful, wonderful part of the city. And finally then I was asked to come along today to pull the string with the Lord Mayor, and I'm glad to do that, but also to tell you all the story of how I nearly became the Beatles' agent. Now this is a story which has been told 9 million times, so I'll put it down to the bare bones and tell you that I was working for Granada Television in Manchester doing a daily magazine television programme called Scene at 6:30. Surprise, surprise, it was on every evening at 6:30. And it lasted for 40 minutes, and it was a general interview program, like every magazine program you've ever seen in your lives. And we ended always with a piece of music. And one time we were told that there was this phenomenon happening across in Liverpool. And get thee to Liverpool, said our boss, and bring me back the story of these mopheads called the Beatles, who are appearing in a place called the Cavern, and they are causing riots and civil commotion and disturbance left, right and centre. Bring us back the story. So we went as a sociological phenomenon. That's not bad for this time of the morning, is it? A sociological phenomenon. We went to Liverpool and we covered the Cavern, this dirty, filthy little place, a dump, if ever you saw one, but much loved or much used by bands and travelling minstrels and songwriters and all that. And the Beatles were there, and they were drawing massive crowds. So we reported that on the programme as a news story, and then somebody had the bright idea of asking them to actually come on the show and play live, because we usually play it out on a piece of music, and we did that. And so they were in from 11 o'clock in the morning. The result was that there was a riot and civil commotion outside with screaming young girls who had heard that they were in the studio and would not go away, and the police had to be called and all sorts of disturbing calls. But in the middle of that day, during rehearsal, during getting the sound check and all of that, in the middle of that, Paul McCartney came to me and said, "We would love if you would be our agent." And now remember, I would have been very, very well known to them at that stage. I had never heard of them in my life, but I would have been very well known to them because it was on the air every day on television, and I was reading the late evening news. So as far as they were concerned, I was a star. Not to show you how long ago it was. I was a star. So he came to me and said, "We would love you to be our agent because we have no agent, and we think you'll be a terrific agent." And I had to explain to him that between 4 days a week in Manchester, then back in Dublin every weekend for the Late Late Show and a radio programme, and then 2 or 3 sponsored programmes, that I was up to my ears and I knew nothing about being an agent, and therefore I could not be an agent. I was very complimented that they should ask me to be their agent, but there was no way I was going to be their agent. So what you are now looking at this morning, ladies and gentlemen, is the remains of a grey-haired old loon. You're very lucky you're seeing some hair, because with the chemotherapy I lost all my hair. I'm bald as a coot. I was doing a Ray D'Arcy on it. And now the hair has come back, as you can see. Well, not all together, but anyways there. So you're looking at this grey-haired old loon whose great claim to fame was that he almost became the Beatles' agent. Fantastic. And if I had become the Beatles' agent, well, I leave that to each and every one of you to figure out what would have happened. But that's how it happened, and I thanked him, and I was very pleased. And off they went, and they got young Epstein to be their agent, solely on the basis that his father had a shop which sold records, and they figured out they were so innocent at that time. They were so innocent that they figured that a guy who sold records in his father's shop must be an expert about show business, and therefore he would make a very good agent. So maybe if I had become their agent, I would have become extremely wealthy. I'm quite sure I would. Or else I would have died a couple of months later from cocaine poisoning or whatever. And that would have been unfortunate. That would have been a wrong direction. However, I'll leave you with one last thought, and thank you for your attention. I've spoken for long enough, and I've told you the story now. I want to leave you with one thought. By coincidence, about a month ago, I was looking at television, BBC television, and there was one of these flooded programs on, one of these antique auction programs on. And a woman came in with a ticket which she had for the Beatles. I think it was in Sheffield, don't hold me to that, but it was one of those cities up there. I think it was Sheffield. And she had a balcony ticket which had cost her 10 and sixpence. 10 shillings and sixpence it had cost her. That was half a pound. And the balcony seat for 10 and sixpence for the Beatles in the theatre in Sheffield on the 3rd of December 1963. 1963. She paid 10 and sixpence for it, and she got, at the auction, she got 350 quid for the ticket. It was a very nice ticket, insofar as it wasn't marked, it wasn't signed, there were no autographs, nothing like that. But she had the ticket, and a very clean ticket. She got 350 quid at auction, and went away very, very happy about that. So to all those members of the Beatles Ireland who are here, who may have mementos, you have something. Is that a ticket? That's a real ticket. That's a real ticket as well, is it? For where? For here. For here.
6 shillings and sixpence to see them.
6 shillings and sixpence to see the Beatles. You just about see them, you wouldn't hear anything. A defining mark of the Beatles concert was that you heard nothing, not a single syllable of words, not not a single syllable of music. So there you are. Hold on to that, it's worth a few quid, but it's worth 350 quid anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, it now gives me great pleasure to share with the Lord Mayor of Dublin, and thank the Lord Mayor for coming. We're not doing that just yet. Correction, we are not doing that just yet. But what is happening next then? Another speaker. Oh, all right. Thank you very much for your attention.